Welcome back to the San Diego Opera Podcast. I'm Nick Reveles, and I am delighted that my guest today is Frederica von Stade. Flicka, welcome back.
Thank you, Nick. It's so good to see you. Always,
the podcast. This
always,
is so cool.
Yeah, it's great that you do it.
Yeah, well, it's fun.
I love you.
And having you back after Great Scott, which was, I think, a great success for us. Same composer, Jake Heggie.
Our
Jakey doing what is a chamber opera, essentially, and it's a family drama.
It sure is.
But isn't every opera?
That's true.
In one way or another.
That's true, for sure. It is. This is a very specific family.
Yeah, well, and it's obviously a very contemporary family drama.
Yeah.
So I think that is sort of fascinating in itself, in the sense that it's almost as if we've been invited to a regular spoken play.
Yes.
About family dynamics.
Yes.
The only difference is it's sung. I mean, the beautiful libretto by Jean Shear is so wonderful,
yeah.
But it really plays like a standard drama.
Right.
Right?
Well, and it is based on a theatrical piece, a piece that Terence McNally wrote especially for an amazing cast, including Julie Harris.
Oh my gosh!
Julie Harris was the Maddie.
One of the great actresses.
It was sort of a sort of an evening read. It was that type of a thing. And so it's based on that, which is a story of this family over 3 decades. In the first decade, this character, Madeline Mitchell, is sort of in the height of her career. She's a famous actress. And she has 2 children, 2 adult children, one of whom is a mom who's being sort of cheated on by her husband. And the other is a boy who, it's during the AIDS crisis, and his partner has AIDS, so he is terribly worried about him.
Yeah.
And then the second decade, his partner has passed away. Things are worse with the Beatrice, my daughter, and an occasion arises that Maddie has been possibly awarded a Tony. So she wants the kids to come with her to this celebration and hopefully win the Tony. And there's a kind of a blow up that night. They get into a row, and she divulges an incredibly important secret.
Right.
That maybe I shouldn't say. I don't know.
No, let's save that.
Or we'll save it.
Yeah.
And it's extremely disruptive for the children,
Right.
and it's been a huge secret. And then in the last act, Maddie's dead. And it's at her funeral.
And we go to her memorial
service, and she's still got things to say, though. She's still out there, still the diva. And once a diva, forever a diva.
Is that true?
Of course it's true. Of course it's true. And so it's and what's comforting is that the kids have sort of forgiven her, and she has died peacefully, and so it's those three decades.
It's interesting to me that in plays and operas like this, that there's this communication background, this communication breakdown, and yet the characters all have a lot to say.
A lot to say, yes. Oh, definitely. And we do, whether we share it with our friends or our family, but these things, they demand action, and they demand attention.
Yeah. And
in a big way.
And that's where the drama comes from, which I think is so wonderful about a piece like this.
Yeah.
It's also wonderful that it's intimate, because it's an intimate story for
exactly
3 characters who share a history, and a history that's got secrets.
Yes.
And it's written for a small force, not just 3 singers alone, but a small force of instruments.
Yes, exactly.
Couldn't be more than 10 players, is
Yeah,
it something like that?
something like
in
that.
a very, very small group to accompany it.
Around the piano too. Everything is very much around the piano.
The piano is at the
Two
center.
pianos, yeah.
And then as we are doing it, it's usually done in a small theater because
Right.
it is created for a small
It
space.
is, exactly. And it's always been done in a small theater.
So,
yeah.
You've been doing it for, what is it, 10 years old? Something
10
like that?
years, yeah, 10 or 11 years.
What have the responses been from audiences? Not in terms of applause, because it's always wonderful, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But from what people say as a reaction to seeing the piece.
People are very moved by it, and they're affected. They say, gosh, this could be my family. And so that has a lot of meaning for us as actors and singers and performers, because it's also written almost perfectly.
The vocal lines are
The vocal
really
lines
lovely.
are gorgeous. Jean has, as one would expect, a way with words.
Yes.
Jake has a way with words.
Right.
And so, in many, many regards, a lot of our work has been done for us by the composer and the librettist. And in this instance, we have the most marvelous director, Karen Tiller, and we just did it with her in Hawaii. And she, for the productions I've done, and I've only seen it when I've done it, I haven't seen other productions, has come the closest to realizing kind of exactly what Jake and Jean meant, and has worked very hard for that, and has taken it very seriously. And it is the type of piece that gets in your head a long time before you do it.
Yeah.
It's, you think, oh no, wait, now why did she say that? No, okay, oh, I get it, all right, and those are all things that sometimes are not larger than life, so the whole public sees them, but they make part of the drama and part of the relationship,
Well, and that deep background, as I think we call it,
Right.
Resonates with an audience, whether it's obvious to them or not.
Exactly. I think so too.
Right?
I think so too.
I mean, it's
I
like
agree.
a role like Despina or Dorabella.
Yeah.
There's a backstory.
Right.
And you as a singer pretty much have to come up with it, because these are characters that are created out of whole cloth. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
We don't get a lot about their background
Yeah.
in the script. It's the same way here. It's just that because it's so contemporary and it's so American and it's in English, it's, I think, even more powerful. But as I said, you do all the work in terms of building the character, and we may not see that obviously on the stage, but boy, we feel it.
Right. And when something is created as exquisitely as Jake and Jean have done, it makes our job a lot easier, because
Sure.
it's clear.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very, very clear. And what isn't clear, Jake, what does this mean? Jean,
Nice to be able to do.
really a thrill to be able to do.
Can't do that with Debussy and understanding Melisande
No,
a little
you
better.
can't. and also you never know how things will affect people. We can't control that. Our job is to put it out there, and people get what they get. But it's always interesting to try and figure that out. What do we want people to get?
Right.
One of the difficulties for me in this piece has been Madeline Mitchell is a fairly impossible lady. She's very typical of a star, and it's
Very self-involved.
self-involved, and that's what it takes.
Yep. Yeah.
That's often what it takes. It takes that energy, added to the fact that because of this major tragedy, she's probably thrown herself even more into her work.
Ah.
That is her refuge. That's where she feels safe. And I've been in times in my life that have been extremely difficult. And the safest place I was on stage.
No, that makes sense.
Walking
Sure.
in the theater.
Sure.
I knew the parameters, I knew the people, I knew what I was expected to do. I felt completely untouchable by my worries.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think
So she rings true for you.
she rings very true for me. She's not always likable, and I have struggled to find the ways to make her likable, to make her sympathetic. Because if she's just awful, you just don't care. You just,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, I don't know, what is the
Well, we don't want to spend.
no,
We don't want to spend time with her.
the Bette Davis, you know.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
You, there's something about her that is sympathetic. She has a great sense of humor.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And there is, let me tell the public, one of the funniest duets in the opera business, which is the two kids trying on all Maddie's clothes and her shoes, and you know, and it is so beautifully written. It brings down the house.
I
you
can't
know.
wait.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
yeah.
You know, on one other subject, this is a little bit of a personal story. I was traveling a little bit this weekend, and I was listening to the Symphony Channel on Sirius.
Yes.
My Sirius radio. That wasn't an ad, but and this lovely music with voice, a female voice,
Yeah.
beautiful orchestration. But I didn't know the piece at all, and I was picking up a word here. This is in English. It's really lovely. And then, but stupidly, and instead of looking at the road, I should look down at the screen and see who it was. Argento.
Oh yes.
And
Who he just passed away.
yeah. Well, I'm going, my, this is gorgeous, gorgeous music. But I guess I'm very parochial in the sense that, you know, if we haven't done a piece, I rarely go out of my way to discover something new. It's really tough for me because, you know, especially when I was working full time here, that, you know, I was always working on the productions that we've chosen to do.
Right.
We've never done an Argento
Yeah.
opera. Then the piece ended, and the announcer said, this was Casa Guidi,
Oh yes.
and the soloist was Frederica von Stade. And I'm like, oh my God, well, I have to talk to her about that because Dominick Argento just passed away, what, a week ago or 2 weeks ago?
Just a week ago.
And,
I'm happy to say at a ripe old age.
Yeah. Oh, he was
What a
92
sweetheart.
or 3.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about him because you worked with him, first of all, on that piece, which is based on letters by...
It's Schumann. It's Elizabeth Schumann's letters to her father.
Ah, okay.
It's really interesting.
But then also he created a role for you in the Aspirin Papers.
Yes. Yeah, that's
One of
right.
his operas.
Tina. That was it. Tina was the name of that role. I
So
loved
what
it.
what was he like?
He
to
was
work with?
fantastic. First of all, just one of the dearest people. You know, when someone is just, every inch of them is a kind human being.
Yeah.
And he loved music passionately. And I knew him, fortunately, when his wife Carolyn was alive. And I just adored her. She was a singer, a wonderful singer. And the pair of them were just magic. And they had this beautiful home in Minneapolis that with many Italian treasures. You know, they every summer they went to Florence and rented a house right near the Duomo, and it was very near this apartment that Robert Schumann and Elizabeth, that they rented when they left England. They would go to this apartment, and it was called Casa Guidi. And it's her letters home to her father and her sister, describing how much she just loves Robert and loves her life. And her father never approved of the union, ever. And that's one of the reasons they kind of had to get away. And at the time, when I was asked about the commission, of doing a commission with Dominick, I had in my head, he said, what would you like to do, Flick? And I said, oh my gosh, I think I would love to do some poetry of Sylvia Plath, or so, you know, something really dark. And Dom looked at me and he said, I don't think so. I don't think that's you. So, and these are very funny songs. There are 5 of them, and they're, she talks about they have a wonderful cook who cooks them all kinds of things, and she tells his story, and it's positive and upbeat and loving. And one fun thing, another fun fact, is that in Waco, Texas, there's a big study of Robert Schumann and Elizabeth Schumann.
Do you mean the Brownings?
Did I say the Schumann?
Schumann. You're getting the composer mixed up with the poet.
Poet.
But that's all right.
You're right. The Brownings, of course.
Elizabeth Barrett Browning and Robert Browning. Right.
Robert,
Yeah. Because he mentioned that on the radio, and I'm going, the Schumann.
No. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And I know this. That,
yes. In Waco, in the university, they've reconstructed the room from Casa Guidi.
Right.
The exact room, where, of course, it's the Brownings.
And I don't know the poetry at all. And again, the music was totally new to me. But if his operas are like that,
they really are. They're really
I'm going to have to do a little voyage of discovery myself.
Definitely.
Wonderful.
Definitely.
Just
Aspirin Papers is really interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting. I mean, it's been 40 years since I did it, so I don't remember it terribly well.
But it must have been exciting it must be exciting to work with living composers who are pushing the art form and developing it and making it go in places that it's never gone before. I think
he deserves a lot of credit for that. Dom does, and Jake respects and admires enormously, and I think we're in a very exciting time for opera because of all these young composers who are taking on subjects like Steve Jobs and everything that's going on in the world, and Jake, for me, being top of the list, of course.
Well, we love him here.
But
love him.
And he, in essence, he is the supreme storyteller, and that's why he works so well with Jean, because they're both storytellers, and they're both very caring, and they're both very careful, and they're very appreciative of what goes on around them. So and what he's got coming up is just thrilling.
I can't wait.
Just thrilling. His new pieces too are just.
That's great.
And Dead Man, there's not a corner of the world where Dead Man Walking isn't being performed right now.
Which is so exciting.
Yeah, it really is.
And the Met next.
The Met next, and then they're doing Moby Dick 2 years after that.
It's wonderful.
It's thrilling.
Such great success.
It is thrilling,
Well, my dear, thank you. I don't want to take any more of your time because I know you have to go to rehearsal. And I have to edit this. So
okay.
So thank you
Nick,
so
I'm
very
always
much.
happy to see you. Thanks for doing this always. I appreciate it very much.
And we'll see you soon.
How are you doing?
Okay.
Yeah, did you have fun on Saturday?
Oh, we had a great time.
We're still on camera.
And I haven't told you yet that I love your hair. It's great.
Yeah, we all love her hair.
Yes.
Now,
we love Jill's hair.
So goodbye.